Hey everybody, welcome back to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com, and here on my YouTube channel. In this video, wanted to again share a story with you guys, and this is our third video, or my third video, around the room correction system, the Trinnov. I did a couple of videos about a month or so ago. You can go check the playlist, or maybe I'll throw a link up on the screen here, an image up on the screen. We did an unboxing, and then we did my first impressions. I've been mixing with it now, did about 10 or 12 mixes. And I just did my first client mix with it, and I want to share with you the results of that. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Trinnov. We're going to talk about how my experience has been, and I want to share a little story with you so you can get a little bit more information around the Trinnov, because some of you have emailed me and in the prior videos left comments and have been talking about it, and some of you are thinking about being in the market for some kind of room correction, and the Trinnov has piqued your interest, and I want to share my experience to try to help you make an informed decision. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. If this channel helps you in any way, shape, or form, please hit the thanks button beneath this video. It really does help me, and I really do appreciate all the people that have done that. Also, if you really want to get into mixing and you want to learn how to mix in the hybrid workflow, I have a new course out, Hybrid Mixing. You can check the link in the description box below, where we do everything with hardware and plugins, and it's a wonderful course, over 6 hours long. You get all the multi-track files, and it's a really awesome course. So click the link in the description box, go out to the Mixing Hybrid page on my website, and I have a video there giving you an example of what's in the course. You're gonna really love it. Check that out. So let's talk a little bit about the Trinnov. So again, if you have not seen the first two videos, after this video, click the link in the description box, watch the unboxing, watch my first impressions video. This is the third video. Now, as I said, I'm gonna do more of these in the future. I do have a video coming up with one of the representatives from Trinnov, Antoine. We are going to do a Zoom call, a pre-recorded Zoom call, and he is going to talk a little bit more about the Trinnov, and he's more importantly going to take us into the application that I showed you in the second video and kind of explain exactly what's really going on underneath the hood here, so we can get a better understanding technically of what the Trinnov does and how it works. That video will be coming shortly. We're working out our schedules to record that video, and that's going to be a real interesting watch for everybody if you're interested in something like the Trinnov, or if you're just interested in something like room correction in general. Now, before I tell you about this little story, I want to say this up front for people that have never seen any of my other videos before and you're new here, or if you're a returning watcher, just to reiterate, this is not a sponsored video, okay? Trinnov does not pay me to make any of those videos. They don't even know this video is being made. I paid for my Trinnov in full from Vintage King. I get no commissions, whether any of you run out and buy a Trinnov or not. I don't get anything from this. Nothing, zero, nada, zilch. I'm here on this channel just sharing my experiences with you over the last 2 years of how I built a hybrid mixing studio. And everything that I'm going to tell you in this video is not pre-scripted. I'm not being paid or anything like that, okay? I'm very unique in that everything on this channel is stuff I paid with my own money. I don't have any sponsorships here. I'm not here to sell you gear, okay, like most other YouTube channels. The only company that I've worked with in the past where we've traded some video reviews for some equipment was audio-scape, and you know how I feel about audio-scape, and you can watch all the videos below. But 90%, what you see in this room, both in those racks and here, I paid for. Nobody gave it to me, okay? So when I'm telling you something, it's because it's from the heart and I'm just sharing my experience. So now that that's out of the way. So here's the thing. So I've been mixing with the Trinnov now since the last video. It's probably a month and a half or so. I'd have to go back and look at the exact dates, but around, let's say 2 months. And in that time, I've done probably maybe 15 mixes with the Trinnov system, okay? Most of those mixes I was doing for myself as practice mixes. When I first got the Trinnov, I wasn't doing an actual client project. And in those mixes, I was mixing everything from rock to country to metal to R&B, all different styles of music, pop, rock, pop. To get familiar with the Trinnov and the way the room correction is changing the way I hear things in the room. And then I was taking those mixes, putting them on my phone, running them up to my car, running them into my wife's car, checking them on my second Avitone speakers, checking them on my Bluetooth speaker. And I was just trying to get familiar with it to make sure I can wrap my head around it, wrap my ears around it, and get familiar with the sound. And as I said in the last video, after my first impressions, that I felt the mixes were translating really well. And over the course of those 12 mixes or so, the one thing I noticed is that every time I took the mix outside my studio, exactly what I was hearing in here was exactly what I was hearing outside the room. They translated really well. Now, the first couple of mixes, there was a little bit of tweaking I needed to do to the low end, which is something you can do inside of the Trinnov app. And I was working with Antoine from Trinnov, and he was helping me because the way it works is it's all hooked up to your network. So Trinnov, the company, can actually log into your system, get into your app, and they can make some fine-tuned adjustments under the hood to customize the Trinnov after it's taken the room correction measurement to really dial it into your specific space. This is the biggest advantage that you have with something like a Trinnov over something like SonarWorks, where SonarWorks is a wonderful program, by the way, and you take the measurements with the microphone, it puts an EQ on your master bus, and that's really it. Now, you could go into SonarWorks and you can tweak the EQ, but what you cannot do is you can't work with phase, you can't work with time alignment and delay and all of the stuff that you can do inside the Trinnov. And believe me, when you see the video we do with Antoine from Trinnov in the future, hopefully over the next 3 or 4 weeks, and you see the power of what can be done in this app, it's unbelievable. And the fact that Trinnov and their engineers can log into your app and they can fine tune it is a wonderful, wonderful thing to dial it into your space. Anyway, the first few mixes I did, I noticed that the low end, I was hearing a little less low end in the room, and when I got out to the car, it was still a little bit boomy because all the frequencies are at the same level once the Trinnov does its magic. So I had Antoine go in, and he actually boosted up the sub-level and the low mids just a little bit to try to get them 1-to-1. So we did that a couple of times, and we saved them as a preset in the Trinnov. And therefore, now it was dead on. It was dead on. So like the last 8 or 10 mixes I did, no matter where I put that mix, the lows, the low end translated well, the mids, the up, everything translated well to my ear on my limited amount of systems. So recently I did my first client mix for a band, Elm Treason. Elm Treason is a duo, acoustic rock duo. They're actually, one of their songs, and this particular song that we're going to talk about is actually going to be part of my second hybrid mixing course called Mixing Acoustic Rock. That comes out sometime in the summer of 2023. So again, you can check the link in the description box below if you're interested in that, depending on when you're watching this video. Anyway, after I did this mix, I sent it off to the boys, Andy and Bobby, and had them listen. And the only thing that I did for that particular mix is I just listened to my vocals. I did not take it out to the car. I did not check it on my Avitones. I think I might have checked it once on my Bluetooth speaker just to make sure the vocals weren't popping out too much, but that was it. I wanted to make sure that what I was hearing out of these vocals and with my sub was accurate. And I sent it off to him. And he wrote me back an email, and I want to read that email to you. And thank you, Andy, for such a nice email. Thank you for allowing me to share this in this video. I think this is important. And I wanna just read the email verbatim, what he wrote to me, which really, really was powerful, and it really cemented my whole thought around room correction in this Trinnov. So here's the email. I'm just gonna read it to you, and I'll try to maybe put it on the screen. Anyway, hi Dave. I finally played your mix of Eye to Eye, name of the song. In fact, I played it no less than 9 times before writing this email. I played it on my studio monitors twice, my cell phone twice. I burned a CD and played it in my car. I played that CD on an old-fashioned boombox. I then played it back twice through my TV, and there was another playback, but I'll be damned if I can remember at this moment what it was. So he did it, but he played it on all those systems. It translated wonderfully on all platforms. Marvelous. The crispness and the opening piano is stunningly delicious. The bass is tight, the snare is orgasmic, and yet it sounds like Elm Treason, name of the band. It sounds like a unique band that we try to maintain, that rockin' acoustic thing that we don't hear too many people doing. And you gave Bobby's solo just a little extra something. And the vocals, damn, exclamation point. What I love overall is that you basically kept my vision for the song, sound, and vibe, which I accomplished using 99,000 plugins before I found you at Home Recording Made Easy. It's funny. And you use those techniques I've been watching you talk about and implement along with Analog Love, giving it a nice open sound that breathes. You didn't compromise what we do. Bravo, just freaking bravo. So, what does all that mean? Again, thank you. I mean, it's very, and again, I don't read that. I'm not the world's greatest mixing engineer. I think I'm very good at what I do and I'm constantly trying to get better. But I wanted to share that with you for a couple of reasons. Now, some of that is because he mixed that same song himself, all in the box of plugins. We mixed it analog. It sounds different. He enjoys that sound. That's part of it. Again, I'm not suggesting you got to run out and buy all this stuff, but part of the overall vibe is everything that we're doing here. It's part of it. But here's the part of this email that is really striking to me that really was just, thank God that I'm not the only one that hears this, is he played this thing no less than 9 times on several different playback systems, a cell phone, studio monitors, in his car, on his television set, in a boombox, and it all translates beautifully, right? What does that mean? That means that what I'm hearing coming out of those speakers is absolutely accurate to what's happening in the mix. Now, that has a lot to do with the Trinnov. It has a lot to do with room correction in general. But as we talked about in the last video, it does not take the place solely of acoustic treatment and all the other things you need to do to dial in your room, which I've done and continue to do to try to improve it. But what the Trinnov really did is it really focused everything. It cleared up the muddiness, it cleared up the smearing effect, all the things I talked about in the last video. Again, go watch that video if you haven't seen it. I think it's 35 minutes long, where I tell you exactly what I'm hearing, and I did an A to B comparison to SonarWorks. And again, I'm not saying SonarWorks isn't a wonderful piece of software. For $299, it's fabulous. This Trinnov is $6,000, right? The Trinnov is not for everyone. It's not in everybody's budget. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because this takes about an hour to an hour and a half off every single mix, because I don't have to check it on a million different systems. I don't have to second guess what I'm doing. I don't have to get the mix back and get a bunch of notes and have to tweak things. No notes at all. Now, yeah, you may still get, hey, can you turn up the snare drum? Can you turn up the bass a little bit? All of that's stylistic and is personal preference. But the overall tonality and the translation of the mix from this control room to out in the world, in this example, is dead on. And so that kind of really, when people say, oh my God, $6,000, Dave, is it really worth $6,000? What an expensive piece of equipment. How much does it really change the game? I'm convinced now. I was convinced before this email because I would go around and check it in all those playback systems, as I told you. But now, after now doing this and not checking that mix before I sent it off to these guys, only listen to the vocals. And like I said, I think I listened once on my Bluetooth speaker to make sure the vocals didn't poke out too much from a volume perspective. But now that I know that, and whatever's coming out of these vocals, I know is right. And that's the Trinnov. That is the Trinnov in combination with the acoustic treatment. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I just want to continue on with this series about the Trinnov, because again, there's not a lot of stuff on YouTube about the Trinnov except from the Trinnov company themselves. And again, from the people I've met at Trinnov and some of the conversations I have, they seem like very upstanding, wonderful people. But you always got to be a little suspicious, I guess the word is, that when a company puts out videos on their product, of course they're going to say everything is fabulous. And the people that are on their videos, of course they're going to say everything is fabulous. There's not a lot of independent reviews that don't get anything from it. And I think I'm one of the only ones. I'm sure there might be a couple others, but I'm the only one that's now done 3 videos about this product. And I don't have to. I'm only doing it because some of you have asked me about it. Some of you are curious about it, and I'm here just sharing my experience with you. As I said in the opening, this video is really what this channel is all about, right? You don't have to agree with everything I say to you. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. All I'm doing is sharing and you take that information and do what you will. And at the very least, maybe this video and these videos around the Trinnov may not get you to go out and buy a Trinnov because, you know, it's a budgetary thing. You don't do this professionally or whatever. That's fine. But I would also tell you then, if you don't, well, assuming you have acoustic treatment in your room and you did the best you can there, if you don't have anything else beyond that, you know, try something like SonarWorks. Try it. I used it before the Trinnov and it did a pretty good job. Trinnov takes it to the next level, without a shadow of a doubt. But SonarWorks is still better than not having anything at all, even if you have a professionally built out studio, which most of you watching this channel do not. But even the few that do, you're still gonna have some issues in your room. And something like SonarWorks or some kind of room correction could really, really help you. Again, it takes a little getting used to. The sound is a little way different at first, and you got to wrap your head around it. But once you kind of give into that and get used to it, and you can trust it, that's huge. And if you're someone who does this for a living and you mix for a living, or you're a recording studio, I would highly suggest you investigate the Trinnov. I know $6,000 is a lot of money. It is, right? It is. But if you do this for a living, and you can knock a 30 minutes to 90 minutes off of every one of your mixes, it pays itself back in 6 months. Easily, easily. And so it may be something for you to consider. And again, I don't get anything whether you buy one or not. Just wanted to share. So anyway, that's kind of my wrap up here. I don't want to spend too much time yapping over here, but I just wanted to share with you this email from them. And again, I want to thank Elm Treason and Andy and Bobby for sending this and letting me know, because this was huge for me. It means a lot to me, and I'm so happy that you're happy. And more importantly, I'm so happy that I now know without a shadow of a doubt what I'm hearing out of these speakers is accurate. And I don't need to have 5 sets of speakers anymore. I don't. I'm probably going to sell my Avatones. I'm going to keep my Bluetooth speaker and just go from there to there. That's it. I don't need anything else. I know what it sounds like. And it's right. And it's right. So anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully it was informative. Let me know below what you think. Let me know if you have a Trinnov. I know some of you do because you commented in the last video. Let me know if you're thinking about getting a Trinnov, or what room correction you use, or what your experience is. I'd love to know. And again, if you want to know anything specific about the Trinnov, if you have certain questions, leave them below, because I can gather up those questions when I do the interview call with Antoine from Trinnov, and I can ask the geek in the room, the engineer, about some of these things, and we're going to bring the app up in the screen, and we're going to walk through it. So if there's anything specific you'd like to know, I'll leave those questions below and I'll gather them up and I'll ask in the interview to see if we can get some more information. Okay, so once again, make sure you like, share, subscribe here, hit the thanks button. It really does help me. Go out and check out the mixing hybrid course that I have. Again, link will be in the description box below. Also go out to mixingmusicanalog.com. If you want to learn more about my mixing and mastering services, or if you know somebody that does, check out the link in the description box below for that as well. And until the next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching me today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.